We're going to look at practice exercise 15.5 running total. So we're going to write a method called running total, and it's going to return a new array int list, and it's going to contain the running total of our original list. So let's look at the example given to us here. So basically we have this list, right? It's going to be passed into a class, which we need to make a method for. So the following call is going to be made in like our main class. We have ArrayIntList. That's going to be our class that it calls. We make an instance of it called list2, and we set it to equal to list.runningTotal. So we're basically calling the running total on this list. Running total is going to be our method name. And then our output should look like this. This is, or not output, but list2 should look like this. We're going to be coding inside of this class, so we can assume that this exists already. Inside of here, let's make our method. I'm going to call it, we're not going to make it static, by the way, because we need to access the size of our list, so we know how we need to compare it to, where to stop. And since this isn't static, we can't make this static. It's going to be public. We want to return a array int list. So we're going to be using this class in here, and it's called the running total, like this. You can end this, close this in here. So again, no static, because these variables aren't static. We're going to want to access them, right? This is the array that we're looking at, and this is the array size, we can assume. And then we also want it to be public, so we can access it outside. We want it to be called running total because that's what it's named. And we're just returning the array int list. So we have to return this class with basically a new array int list. So let's make a new array int list in here. We are going to use this right here. I'll call this our result, and we'll set it equal to a new array int list, like the following. We'll close this method off because, again, we are calling this class inside of here to make this. So now we need to add into our result. Remember from what we had up here, we want to add the first one as it is, and then we add the next two to get this value, and then add this with this to get this, and then with 10 add the next one to get 14, and then 14 with the 7, 21, and then the 21 with 15, 36, and so on and so forth. So let's have a sum that's going to be incremented, or not incremented, but added to. We'll set it equal to 0 initially, and it's going to be of type int. So int sum is equal to 0. We want to add into our result array int list. Let's use a for loop. We'll do for int a is equal to 0, so we can start at the 0th index, and we're going to want to run this as long as our a is less than the size, so that we can add everything inside of here. As long as a is less than size, we'll do a plus plus to increment, and then inside of here we are going to want to first add to our sum, and then add the sum to our result. So we'll do sum plus equals to, and what's the new thing that's happening? Well, we need to get the next element data index, right? So we'll paste this in here, element data. We want the next index. It's going to be incremented by our a. So at first we're going to get the 0th index and the first index, second index, so on and so forth. After this, we want to add it to our result. So we're going to say result.add, and then inside of here, we're just passing in the sum, closing off this for loop. When we're done with this, we need to return our array int list that we made, which is result. So we are just going to want to return result, and this line, we can close off our entire method, which again is going to be inside of this class. That passes 3 out of 3 tests. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments below. That's going to be it for this practice it. I hope you learned a lot.